Greetings, my relatives. My name is Omeakaihekat Kara Ayana, Erick Gonzalez. And I've been asked by this forum to share a little bit about our neck of the woods. They call the Maya civilization. And so this is what we live, we carry, what we have inherited from our generations before us. And the Maya, as some people think, it was a long time ago, ancient civilizations, yes, but we're still here. In Guatemala, southern Mexico, other places, there's many of our people, millions. And there's still the way of life. Even through the interference of 500 years of experience, our people still practicing a lot of our traditional ways. The language are alive, the ceremonies, and the connection with the Mother Earth and with the rest of our kin, the human family. And so we have inherited these beautiful bundles, we call them, from our people. It takes care of the connection, the spiritual, galactic, cosmic relationship with the human family and with our sacred Mother Earth. So we want to talk a little bit about what we still live by and we're still enjoying and we're still caring for, which is the cholkich. And this is what we call it. Cholkich is the counting of the days, what many of the people know as Mayan calendar. But for us, it's more than just a calendar. And we got to go through years and years of rites of passage and learning about the astronomy, about the relationship to the cosmos, to the way we use it in a daily basis, ceremonial, the agriculture ways. And so it's very vital for our people to keep a strong connection with the Cholkich. And so the Cholkich is the counting of time. So a lot of other indigenous peoples throughout Aviala, the Americas they call it now, is that we are the timekeepers. We have inherited the codes, the energies. Then it said the pyramids. They're not ruins like many people believe that they abandoned ruins, but it's still holding the sacred geometry energies that is as long as it's still built, as long as it's still standing, is creating that energy field. And as people have discovered now, the way of all the great cities of the Maya are in a reflection of constellations in the sky. So as above, so below. And now we are in the middle field. We call it Kahulef, between sky and earth. And what guides us, what we use as a tool to understand the frequencies and the codes of the universe and how we are in relationship with, that we cannot separate ourselves from it. It's just like natural law, spiritual law, cosmic law. Humanity cannot divert from those, because when we do, then we pay the price. Our generations are paying the price for that arrogance of not being in harmony with life. And so the Cholkich starts with the moment the women find out that they're pregnant. And so the Achkichs, the comadronas, the midwives, the women go to them and they are taken into the tuch, we call it, the maskali, the swelages, and it starts the prayers, not just repeating something from a book or something, but they start telling the story of that family into the babies. He's already listening. The baby is developing inside the womb. And so in the lodge, a greater wound of the Mother Earth, with the prayers of the Akich, or like the comadronas, the medicine people, the spiritual guides. And so we start telling the stories. You're coming into this family. You're gonna be born into this clan, into this society, into this nation. You're here now in this world, and this is what's happening. We start telling stories, and of course the prayers of guiding, of finding out, what is the ceremonial and cosmic codes of that soul, and what is it going to come in to do in this world. So that's the today Maya. We use that. We live by it. Every day we know the day Lord, the energy, the frequency, and how we are to co-create our lives in more harmony, more balance. So that's what we focus on as Achkich, as Kamal base. So that's what I've been given the responsibility with my people to be a road guide, spiritual guide, caretaking of the ceremonial part and teaching, teaching the youngers, teaching each other, supporting the councils and the people gathering, because we are sharing this with the world. Because we know that we cannot do it on our own. And most of the world, most of the population of humanity, very dysfunctional, very destructive. But as you hear, learning, collaborating, gathering, searching, what is the solutions we have to do now? So our people have, hey, maybe you want to consider learning about the Cholkich. Not to divert it, change it, or readapt it to whatever the people might want, is because these are spiritual, natural, cosmic laws. So if we understand it, then we can start living with it, and here we go. So the ceremonies, the prayers, preparing that child, and when it's born, we look at the day, Lord, first breath. So now it's like, what was that Nawal? What was that spiritual code in which you were born under? This is like your clan. This is like your society. This is your mission in life. So the midwives, they look at the placenta. And there's many still who can learn how to read that tree of life. Kaslem Che, we call it the tree of life. Kaslemal Che, what it is inside this tree of life that we are going to share with the mother, and the prayers now are being more tailored to that child. And so they wait to grow up, to expose them to those connections. And so ceremonies of celebration of life, the rites of passage, and the guidance and the exposure to the natural world, the spiritual world, the cosmic world. And so each one of us, that's where we start. We say, okay, when was your first breath, your birth? Then there's a code to find out your conception. What is your spiritual mission? What is your physical mission? What are the nawales that they hold you to your left and your right, the male, female, the ancestry? What is your sacred mission that there's no other reasons to come but to become aware of that sacred gift of life, in which what are you going to collaborate with, participate with, and your life becomes this wealth of beauty. We don't have to struggle to like, well, who am I? What am I doing? Where should I go? We get lost in this world in the systems that they're not functional. They're not in the natural relationship to life. So why this Creator sent you? Why do you chose to come here? So we consult the oracle. We look at your Kaslam Che, your tree of life. And then we talk, and then we prepare for ceremonies. Some of you carry great codes, great mystery, lots to the beautiful things to do. Maybe to teach, maybe to have beautiful gardens, maybe to be the scientists, maybe to be the spiritual leaders. Whatever the skill, whatever the gift is a combination of a lot of beautiful things. But we discover it. So the Maya, from ancient times, through the codices, through the oral tradition, we have kept our relationship alive. The fires are alive. They were never disconnected. Even through these intrusions of, of what we have experienced in the last 500 years, are people still choosing to go and learn and to practice the sacred ways. Not all of it, but it's still very strong, very alive. And that's our choice. Even though we get all these people to say, no, you have to believe this, you got to do that. It's like, we're seeing what you've done with the world, and we don't want to be part of it. We have our own ways, and our own ways is to be in balance and harmony with these energies, with these frequencies, to fully develop ourselves into a flower staff, we call it, that we are our full blossom. And then we celebrate each other with that. We're not jealous like, oh, you better or not. No. Every day, Lord, every cholkij, every nawal has a special gift. And all of them together create a fullness of life. So what is it that we are at our beginning that we want to find out? So we find out, when was your birth? And then it's not just to look at it, oh yeah, mine is Kawuk, an example. Or mine is Achpu, or mine is Imush. These are the day lords. There's 20 day lords. Each day lord manifests itself in 13 dimensions with 13 very distinct frequencies. The combinations of these make special codes. The Maya, we in our ceremonies, and when we use it in ceremonial ways, is that we use codes to open stargates, communications into other worlds, other spirituals, other entities. And so we start to have communications. Our fires, we use elementals: fire, water, earth, and air. And all of them, they create certain powers, certain frequencies, like in our suelaches or temazcal. All the elementals come together. And when the babies are prepared, they're sung in there, they're told the stories. We don't come too much of like, oh, what should I do in this world? Well, who am I? Why? What am I here for? We're telling already, we're going to become these earth people. We are of this humanity family, and this is what we do. We grow our food, we take care of the earth, we have this relationship and so forth. We tell stories. And then the specific stories of when we learned, when the baby is born, it's like, wow, let's say your name is going to be Eric. Listen, Eric, your Nawal is this Achpu, let's say. And you're just a baby, but they're talking to you already. They leave those seeds inside of you in ceremony. You watch the fire, you touch the water, you learn to breathe the air with conscience, not just breathe, but say, look, this air, this breath comes from this sacred tree, comes from a healthy forest. So when you grow up, take care of the forest. Don't hit the trees, don't kill the birds, don't hurt the water, don't throw trash. When that's forgotten, then we see the mess we have all over the place. There's no balance, no harmony. So these 20 day lords, we are inside of that natural relationship, whether we want to or not, is there. All thoughts and forms, the thoughts that in the creator it has to go through a matrix. The Cholkij is the matrix as we understand it. 13 dimensions, 20 Dailers, it creates a unified field of 260 Dailers, energies, frequencies, in which each one of us is born in that matrix with the code. To learn that code is to start to balance our lives, to live in harmony with what is given to us. So maybe some of us might want to be this or that, and it doesn't work. It's always like, we're always in competition with somebody. We're afraid that they're going to say something more, because we're not doing what we're supposed to. We're shamming. We're not truthful to this life. And so we want to be something, but there's nothing that supports it. So we keep going because maybe we want power, money, recognition, or whatever. And but there's no essence. And the essence comes with humility, it comes with love, it comes with respect, it comes with honor. It comes with, the inner power to say, okay, as you wish. If that's how you want your world, go ahead, go do it. Go say what you need to say. But then we see otherwise, right? The Nawal is not in balance and harmony with this person, and so we start to align ourselves to our purpose of life. And so this frequency starts to create a true relationship. In what dimension? Each dimension is something different. There's codes and understandings of those dimensions of what we could do inside and what the gifts from it to us. And when we find the combinations, it's like, wow, it's confirmation, or it's like, oh, look, maybe let's realign. Let's consider walking in harmony and balance with the Mayan knowledge that is given to the world now. Not to be taken by anybody who just starts to learn and thinking they can change the names or the frequencies or the sequences, or trying to put an interpretation by a different human, because it's not from humanity wisdom. It's to us to interpret by what it's saying, not that we interpret it saying, I think that's what it says, or that's what it is, or that I had a dream and I'm changing it. It can't. This is natural law. It's spiritual law. It's cosmic. And so when those stargates are open, we cannot invent or make things up that this entity or the spirit, we call them Nahuales, come through. And sometimes we're not prepared to really see the features of a Nahual, or listen to what they're saying. Like, I heard something, but I couldn't understand what it was saying. So we again start to train to learn cosmic languages, elemental languages, spiritual languages, languages of the heart, languages of vibrations and frequencies of colors, because that's how they talk. They don't talk in languages like this, analytical languages. So we have to readapt our brain to understand how nature talks. And so there's so many things written, so many religions, so many systems, and it's all failing. We're not any better than we were 200 years ago, because we're trying to interpret humans, trying to interpret what is sacred without having to go through the process of becoming sacred. And so the Cholkij, we start to realign ourselves. It's okay, every 20 days, this Achpu is going to come in. Observe what it is that it does when it's Hun Achpu, when it's Kai Achpu, it's 1 Achpu, 2 Achpu, 4, all the way to 13 Achpu. And once we start to retrain our brain to think in vibrations and colors and frequencies, this is the universal law, the universal languages. We can't make things up, so they will be confirmed by others or yourself, and again in the next cycle. What happened again on Hunachpu? Well, boom, forces or Wanimush or whatever the Taylor and the frequency is. And this is what we're using today. Our nation is solid, each step going forward. As the world collapses, our nations, and the indigenous nations are reflowering their tree without the interference. And it's still a lot of interference. They don't want us to evolve, to come through, or have our time to speak and share, because, they're afraid of the essence. We're going to take away their whatever fears they have. So allowing the people, those with the specialties, to speak, to share, to lead the ceremonies, to share the medicines is vital. If you don't know, we see what the governance of the world with all their systems is like. We don't need you anymore. Step aside, let the earth peoples come to that place. Let the grandmothers lead the councils. Let them choose the chiefs, as an original was. Let them be partnerships, not just one president and male all the time, the same thing. Those dinosaurs are still there in Congress and whatever. Let them be couples in the Maya, is the partnerships are always very important, man and woman, to co-create life. And so when somebody is taking care of community, a clan, and the balance is loving and shares, respectful, wow, a lot can be done. And that's when we start to go through the rites of passage, learning again. So as we are in this conference, you call me, you ask me, to share a little bit. This is what we are using. This is what we live by. Millions of people, millions of our Maya, we live by that. And we just wait for the opportunity when we have no more oppression, no more systems to, and let us evolve how we are, who we are. Let us add to the world our little piece of knowledge to guide humanity to a more balanced world. Because everything else out there right now is not working. Nature's not answering to you. That doesn't correspond to anything that we want to do, because we're still thinking, I want to do that. But let's say today we'll say, okay, what is this Nawal that is energy, is cosmic, is cosmic rays, frequencies. If we could see those beautiful lights and sounds from the sun and from the Venus and from all the calendars that we hold, is the how the patterns are created by these celestial bodies, and then how we activate them and open the stargaze relationships through our ceremonies by using the elementals, creating pyramids, sweat lodges, raising tipis to take medicine, and to, the whole thing is a spaceship. And so, but there's essence. There's no separation. And so that's kind of where we want to share with the world about the cholkich, the lukuluch cholkich, the sacred cholkich. And there's so much already misunderstandings and people trying to interpret things without having to live through the 260 nawales. What's that gonna take? It's a lifelong of being part of those frequencies. And so that's kind of where we are. We just we live by that. That's where we are. We were born into. We lived through it. We struggle to preserve it, and now it's very strong. Now it's very little. Sometimes they let us come in and share, because most of the time they don't want us to share. They wrote books and they do this, and it's just, there has no essence sometimes. So here we are just sharing, where we come from, where we are, what's being used right now as a guide to us. Like every time we have a council, we're going to decide on something, we open the oracle, talk to the Nahuales, talk to other elementals. And then we start to, we use it too to, let's say, in certain frequencies, we bless our seeds, prepare our gardens, we give thanks for the water, we celebrate our evolutionary process of this Mother Earth and all species. It's not, sometimes they call it, they're doing the Maya New Year. Well, we have many New Years throughout the one cycle. A new year for the seeds to evolve, then you need the cycles of, the gifts that are given, and how much we're taking back. And so, there's these are ceremonial moments in which we commune with the celestial bodies. It's not just a human to human or us to the Mother Earth, but just through the Mother Earth together into the celestial. There's a lot more, as many of you know, there's more out there than many people want to acknowledge. And so we've been maintaining these relationships. Sometimes we call them the blue beings. Sometimes we call them different names, but a lot of energy and efforts is done to train us to take those codes and then open up the frequencies to guide humanity again. So this is our journey through the Cholkich. And then we start projecting forward, like, okay, my Nawal is coming in 300 days or 260 days or 180 days or 40 days. How do I prepare for that? So we start looking into the future. Like when there was the the Oshlachuch Baktun, the prophecies of the 2012, everybody talking about it. The end of the world, the Maya, where did the Maya come from? I thought they were all dead, right? And the world was expecting the Hollywood thing, because that's what writers and other speakers was sharing at the end of the world and this and that. Like, we never said that. And as we were sharing, people start blocking us from coming in to share because this is not the end of the world. It doesn't make big news. No, what we said was, it is a time or opportunity to have a marker. The ending of the fifth world is real, has been measured for eras. And they wrote it in stone and others, and they left it in oral tradition to say the Achkich, the Achpops, the rulers of the Maya saw it. Okay, it's time to gather the condor and the eagle, gather the medicines of the people of the world. Let's see what is there left. And we did that. We were part of those gatherings because those Achpops were reading the stars and no, it's time. And I was taken through many places where they explained there was a carving of the condor and the eagle way back in 1978. And it was like 2012, man, so far away. We're not going to be alive. Like, I'm sure by then the humans got it. Well, we saw different, right? So Oshlachuch Baktun came and went. It was a Hollywood fiasco. But our people, we had ceremonies. We had prepared on our own pyramids with our ceremonies to open stargates. Ceremonies that lasted days, preparations of years. And we shared with the world very few moments when we were allowed to. It's not the end of the world, but it is the ending of the fifth sun and the opportunity to witness and be part of the sixth sun, where the people will become the people made out of honey, golden light, collaboration, cooperation. Not the ones who make the most noise and oh yeah, we have it and this is but how we can come as a humanity to realize our predicament. Our actions have consequences. The people didn't really listen. They were waiting for big disasters and like, look what's happening now. We said there was 26 years before entering the moment of transmission, the 0 point. In 26 years from there, for us, humanity, decide our fate of the world. We used one cycle of Venus already, because on that morning, the sunrise of the Oshlachuch Baktun on the Forachau, the Forachpu, it was written, the morning star will show up as your guide, and you'll have 2 cycles, so more like almost 2.5 cycles to decide what you want your future to be. And that's what we said. And we were in ceremony. And now the same message is we used up 9 years and look what's happening in our planet, on our Mother Earth. Right now, a bunch of years all burning. Over there it's all flooding. Over here shaking. Over, people are going crazy with all this diseases and vaccines, yes, or vaccines, no, and the political and like, oh my gosh, like, is it any better? You answer for that. And so our people are still going, we're still praying, we're still moving forward and calling for the alliances. They're not going to just come and learn from us and take a little bit, put it in a book and become famous. That's the old stories. It didn't work. But what if we use that exposure to create Pashil Kayala, the sanctuaries, the land bases, the efforts to correct our actions? That's what our people are doing. We're gathering, we're unifying. We're supporting the rebuilding of bear lodges and teepee grounds and sweat lodges and teaching the young, respecting the elders, following still them. What is it, tatas, nanas? What do we do here? Well, they'll show you like, this is how we keep things whole. They pass it on to you from one hand, from one essence to the other. That's how it's done for us. And then the honoring of each other. It's like, yeah, we honor you for your efforts, not because you have a famous one book or something, but you live in a mess and there's no solutions coming from it. Not to judge or anything, but these are our strong stance because we have 8 grandkids, one on the way, and we care for our children. We care for the mother, or this is not what we have chosen for ourselves, but we are being forced to. They took away everything. They buried our kids behind their churches and residential schools and so forth, you know. And still, our people are like, no, we got to share it. We got to, because we're all family. We're all one people. We are that zero, you know, the complete being. And we're all relatives. So our people still working with that love to say, hey, let's share their ceremonies. Let's just bring them in. Let's give them medicine so they dissolve their illusions. But don't take it from us and then go do whatever in disrespect. There's 2 things our people gave us, you know, in this as a gift. We're going to show you the door, they told us. We'll show you how this works. We'll show you how that plant works. We'll take you to that. But there's a couple of things we ask you of you. Love it as we have loved it. And take care of it as we have been taken care of. And we see otherwise, still people learning and they take off and they do a mess. They like the money, they like the power, they like the recognition, they like to be famous, whatever. As our world collapses. As life, we take in so many species with us. Maybe the whole thing. That's not okay. And so many of our elders are still echoing, please, let's unite. Let's work together. Stop taking from us. Open the opportunity to put those elders right there and let them talk. They got the experiences of real connection with essence. Make it happen. And you will not just be without a word or pushed away. No, we're going to be together in that. As it is right now, they barely let us talk, let us come in because they're afraid of us. I don't know what the heck. We're not going to steal the show. We don't want to be part of the show. We want to be part of the solution by unifying. So our actions are of love, are of finding the solutions. We don't know, but we together will find out what we need to do, but then we got to do it. And one of the focus that I heard from a lot of the circles by looking at the future through the Mayan calendrics. Remember, we've used up 9 years of 26 already. And some people right now say, oh, I wish we're just waking up and let's get to do this. Like, where were you 20 years ago, 15 years ago? It's okay, but you're here now. But this is what needs to happen. There's no more new ideas. We know what we gotta have, what we gotta do. So in our councils with a lot of chosen elders and spiritual leaders, the questions were asked, what do we do? Shall we close the door and let them do whatever and let them crash? Or we teach them, give them more medicine. Let them dissolve. Let them learn from the essence of the spirits. And here we are, the Maya still sharing and holding, and it's setting an example of what can happen. And it's not perfect. As humanity, we're a mess too. Interferences from churches and systems, and now this fear of this diseases and whatnot. but there's a way to navigate it. And we're navigating, and no engagement, just do what we know we got to do is strengthen the Pashil Kayala, the centers, the little places where it's going to survive from the chaos of what's happening. And then bring the knowledge together like you're doing here. Bring the essences. There's a lot of knowledge, and the knowledge have just made a mess. Universities of experts and big titles and things, and it's more of a mess. Bring those elders from the rainforest, bring the faith keepers, and allow them to take the leadership. Scary, huh? Pretty scary. But that's what's going to be a solution. In the Maya, other native people we are gathering, is the dances, the ceremonies, all that was taken from us is now in a beautiful relationship with life, and it's helping so many. So earth people gathering, uniting. In the Mayan calendars, we start by like, all right, what's my Nahual? We start from day one. When was your first breath? What can I do? Oh yeah, of course. Oh yeah, I've been feeling that. Now what? Well, let's go train. Let's look at every Nahual when you come. And then we start to learn, and we start to live it. And then we start to participate in giving something back. We call it toch. My toch to you, what is it? What we're sharing right now is just my gift to you. The toch to each other, that we're listening, we're respectful. The opportunity to all the people come together, the councils of earth people, to create the earth people's nations. It's prophecy that we have here. We built a sacred house. We call it the Pop High Council House. It was written in a codice. So we dreaming and working with the plant teachers, they told us, look at this. Made it in 3 dimensions. So we built it. And what happens in there is like, wow. Talk about a starship. When we activate it with the element, or the elements, tornadoes and forces and spirits, and navigating the universe. And so Pashil Kayala, we have a lot to do. And so what do we do now with your tree? Maybe the trees, maybe the coals are just barely still some coals in us. Let's spark it up. Light the fires. And then lift us up. That's what they did to me, my elders, the Maya. I was barely 18. They said that we gotta lift you up from your illusions. You think you're human. You think you're this person. You think you're suffering, and you came here to suffer in this world. It's like, they'll show us something else. But we had to go through the rites of passage to meet the spirits, meet the forces, meet the elementals. Say, look, hand by hand, look, draw the Nahuales every day. Just draw. One day, years later, then this becomes your automatic writing. Then we write that in elements. We write them in frequencies, in the holograph records. We draw it. Right now, we're drawing it to communicate more than just words. Because there's so many words, so many books, so many videos, so many recordings, and we're still heading towards a disaster. We gotta stop and search for the essence. We call it Rakush. What is your essence? So we look, okay, I was born here and I was born over there and at this time, and it's okay, let's look. This is your Nahual. Let us look. Don't tell me anything about you. We'll do the oracle. Look in your essence. It's not just doing physical things. We gotta let go of the physical and go inside your essence. And there's another story that you won't say, but it will be revealed. And then it's, oh, that's confirmation. this is pretty awesome. How can I learn more? How can I train? And then you take that and you in your neck of the woods, you make it beautiful. It's a lot of work, a lot of love, a lot of dedication, a lot of commitment, because life is going before us. The clock, the earth clock, the the planetary clock is not going to stop because we're ready or we're not ready, or because we didn't know, we did not know. But now what? It's time. So may we see you soon. May our sharing become an inspiration, because I know sometimes it's hard, but we don't want to just paint a pretty picture. But there are solutions. And there's a lot of our peoples working towards those. And there's a lot of our people waiting for you. The fire is on. Like they say, we leave the lights on, but there will be those requirements: respect, love, and honor, commitment. Have faith and trust in yourself to know that you're going to be transforming, and that it's okay to, to go through our own death in a place of rebirthing. So from here, Deer Mountain, Northern California, right now, in Guatemala, where we live, in Atitlan, send our prayer, our love for you. This is what you're doing is beautiful, that you're gathering people, giving the opportunity to a lot of people maybe have no voice, they're not allowed to, and open it up more. And then strengthen your Pashil Kayala, that essence in your sanctuaries, in the communities. Light the fires, gather the people, and they will see you on the other side. So